To help us understand, the professor is in. Joining us now is the University of Michigan economics and public policy professor Justin Wolfers, who, by the way, came here to the U.S. himself from Australia on an H-1B visa. It's always good to have you with us, Justin. First, let's just talk about this argument that foreign workers are taking American jobs or driving down wages. What's the reality?
Okay, so first let's get what the program does. The H-1B visa program, it's a specific one. It says if you're a firm and you can't find Americans that can do the jobs you need, particularly in STEM, so it's a way of bringing in high-skilled workers to the US temporarily. So if you thought that these folks were coming in and taking jobs, then it would cause the wages of American college graduates to decline. In fact, we have fairly good studies on this, and the best studies suggest that if you looked at the total immigration under this program between 1990 and 2010, it actually led the wages of American college graduates to rise by 4.2%. So folks are a little better off. Those who aren't college graduates, their wages rose by about 2%. And just as importantly, the employment levels of natives basically didn't change at all as a result of this.
Yeah, no employment of American-born workers, no effect on that. That's so interesting. Why, though, are these H-1B visas extra important? What do these visa holders bring to the table?
Yeah, so I want you to think for a moment about Alexander Hamilton. Alexander Hamilton was different than the rest of us. And in fact, I think immigrants are quite different in very important ways. The first thing is we're entrepreneurial. When someone uproots their life and comes across to the United States, that's some get up and go right there. They've got a dream, they've got a vision, they want to make something. They're actually quite different than other workers. The second thing is that we come from other countries. We bring new ideas, new ways of thinking about things, new perspectives, new cultures, new insights. And you actually see all of this come out in reality, which is one of these studies actually suggests that maybe a third, maybe even a half of all productivity growth in the United States can be traced back actually to this H-1B visa program. We see that areas that get more H-1Bs actually end up with more patents. So again, it's this innovation thing that keeps coming through. And we can do what the president wants us to do, which is we can reject more of these. And it turns out if you study what happens at a firm when they can't get the immigrants that they need, what they do instead is they hire more folks abroad, particularly multinational companies. And so if we allow fewer folks to come in, multinational firms are just going to replace them by hiring folks abroad, particularly in the most globalized firms and particularly in research and development, which is what really matters.
So if these industries can't bring in foreign workers, what happens? What is the effect?
Yeah. So I just want to start by recognizing that many of us have this idea that if someone comes into America, they must be taking someone else's job. And that's one way of thinking about it. It turns out that the facts don't bear that out. So the analogy I like to use for what this program is doing is think of all economic activity as being like baking a cake. We put some American workers in a bowl, we put some machines in a bowl, we put other inputs in a bowl, and we mix it all up and we create our beautiful economic cake that we might call gross domestic product or employment or even just a good life. Well, what the H-1B program is, it's basically saying if you go to the fridge and discover that you've got no eggs, you can Instacart them in. If you don't have a specific type of ingredient that we need to bake our economic cake, here it would be STEM workers in particular. So if we got rid of that Instacart option, which would be an H-1B visa, what are your choices when you're down on eggs? You could quit baking, which means we're going to not proceed with the project. That's less cake for all of us. If you don't have the right ingredients and you can't get them from abroad, then maybe what you'll do is you use an inferior recipe, which means we'll build worse products. That doesn't make Americans better off. Or it could be we don't have the right ingredients, in which case we decide to buy the cake rather than making it. In this case, that would be importing it. And again, that's not going to help the American economy particularly.
Well, you certainly shine light on how important these foreign workers are for all of us, for our economy, for our industry. Thank you so much.